Welcome to Nifty Notions from So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and in quilting, we often need to cut all the way around a shape. It could be an applique shape, a template shape, or it could be just a shape from a ruler, but all of those edges need to be trimmed. Now we can take a small mat, leave the fabric on, and turn the mat. We can turn the project, or we can get a rotating mat. A rotating mat is a very handy thing to have, and let me show you how they work. One thing that the rotating mats have in common, well, they all rotate. Most of them are circular shape. There are a few out that are in a square shape. The measurement on the circular ones go from one edge to the other. So in this case, this one is 15 inches. And the mats rotate all the way around, a full 360. So it keeps going around. You don't have to stop and go back and forth. Matilda's mat is a green mat. So that cutting mat is attached onto a base, and that base does not fall off. Look for a mat that has the bottom feet on it so that the mat itself is not going to slip. So when this mat is down, it's not slipping, so you don't need to worry about it moving in another direction. It's just going to move in the direction that you want. Depending on what you're going to use your mat for, you can get them with different markings on them. Some have no markings at all, and then some have the traditional grids that we're so used to. This particular one does have our three most popular angles, 60, 45, and 30. And the measurements are starting from the inside going out. So I have my 1 to 7 in each direction. So if I'm going to square something, I'm going to be able to square it using the mat, and those measurements are coming out. Pick up my ruler and cut, and I'm going to be able to rotate and do my two edges. We can also ignore those marks and use rulers or templates. So I can put that ruler on, cut the one side, rotate, cut, rotate, cut, and I'm just going to be able to rotate the mat without removing the ruler and the fabric. Rotating that mat is a lot easier than trying to cut in an uncomfortable position. And of course, it does work with all shapes. So cutting that hexagon is a lot easier rotating the mat. Without having to move that ruler and the fabric, it definitely makes it a lot easier to cut out those shapes. Be sure to look for a mat that when you do push down, the mat does not wobble. So it's sitting on a good firm surface and it's firm in all places. If a mat is sitting on a smaller circle in the center, if you push down on one side, it's going to move. So be sure to find one with a good flat surface the entire size of the mat. We can use the rotating mat for more than cutting. If we're going to cut out an applique shape, we can use the rotating mat. So we can put the shape that we want over top of the back of the fabric and trace our shape. It's going to be very easy for me to turn that mat and continue tracing. It's a lot easier than trying to trace going into an uncomfortable position. So I can trace out my applique shapes on the mat. And if you like to English paper piece, smaller mats are very handy, especially if you're using the glue method. So we can glue it down and just rotate the mat. We're not having to twist our hands or twist the fabric. We just can rotate it as we go around. It just saves us from having to try to take this little piece of paper and turn it. To clean the mat, it's really easy. Just a little bit of dish soap and cool water, and we can wash this mat to keep it clean. Do not put the mat in any water because we want to keep the gears and the ball bearings clean inside. But we can turn it over and clean both sides. That way, the mat always stays in nice shape. You can get mats in different shapes, different sizes, and in different colors, with or without marks. And just like any mat, it is very important that we do not iron on it because it will warp just like our regular mats. Rotating mats can be a lot of fun and very handy to have in your sewing room. I'll put a link in the description to this particular one, and I'll put a link into a couple of other ones so you can check them out. And thank you for joining me today on Nifty Notions. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're talking about next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.